Every man wants to be his own man. That's our dream. That's what we want. But it's kind of hard to be your own man when you got somebody else or something else pulling the strings.
I believe that you could be the best version of yourself if you found out who that somebody or something was and had a tough conversation with them. Today, I think we're finna go in on this conversation. Because, brother, you got
I want to be smooth like you. Yeah.
You got to handle some business. But we're going to give you the tools so you can handle your business so you can be the best version of yourself that you can ever be. Today on The Certified Man.
What's going on, everybody? My name is KDBowe, and I'm the founder of ManUP Community, and we have a program called ManUP Certified, where we genuinely help men become the best version of themselves. I'm so glad to be here today, and I'm with my dude.
I'm Pastor Derwin Davis of the Reach Church of Lithonia, Georgia. Listen, it's my life mission to help people win in life, and I'm glad, brother, that you are here. Sister, too, if you in the comment section. I'm glad you're here because we're going to help you win today.
All right, DZ, so they say a tree is known, the word says a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. What would you say if I told you that there are trees that you know all the fruit, but you haven't been able to identify or connect what that tree is that's connected to that fruit?
Yeah, I think it's very powerful because sometimes we have the fruit, but to change our life, we got to deal with the root.
So what do you think I'm talking about?
We're talking about emotions, man. You know, we have different situations in life. You know, they said emotions make you cry sometimes. You know, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. So, you know, I think one of the things, well, let me ask you this.
H-Town, don't do that. You took me all the way over there, boy. I forget sometimes that you are a music connoisseur. Emotions make you cry sometimes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, man, I got a question for you. Do you think men handle their emotions well?
Some of them we do. Maybe two. Anger, we handle that pretty well because we can kind of identify what it is, but we don't. We're going to get into that. And let's get into what we're talking about today, because I don't want to get too far off of the topic.
Yeah.
Because today we're talking about your emotions and this thing called the feelings wheel.
The feelings wheel.
This is an incredible example of being able to have a few emotions. In this one, it's 7 emotions. Some of them have 5, some of them have 6, and then there are some of them that have like 8. But the basic principle is there. So it starts in the middle with the emotion, and then you can kind of go from there because I don't have my glasses.
You know, it starts in the middle with the core emotions like being disgusted, being sad, being happy, being surprised, being bad or fearful or angry.
Mm-hmm.
However, I call it the branches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it expands out because sometimes we have a feeling, but we can't necessarily pinpoint what that feeling is.
So to get back to our analogy that we had earlier, the metaphor. Mm-hmm. So in the middle, the anger, the disgust, the sadness, the happiness, the surprise, the bad, the fearful, that's what we call the root, the tree or the root.
Right.
Okay. And from that tree, you've got some branches, and from those branches, you've got fruit.
Exactly. And being able to identify the root, the branch, and the fruit allows you to deal with the holistic tree, which is you.
And sometimes you don't know exactly what the root or the branch is. You just kind of know what the fruit is. Okay, so let's go there. So
I'm even go a little further with that. Some people haven't even been able to identify the fruit. They just know this doesn't taste well. I don't like how this feels. Because I can say for me personally, this feeling wheel has been so powerful that it allowed me to say, you know what, I'm feeling off. I'm feeling, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the feeling wheel has allowed me to identify, wow, I feel disrespected. But what is actually disrespect? Disrespect comes on the branch of being humiliated. You know, it's a sister to ridicule, but that makes it angry. So now that when I realize I feel disrespected, it makes sense for me to actually feel angry. Now that I get the whole sequence of it, Now what can I do about this? How can I move further? But being able to actually identify what their fruit is allows me to approach situations totally different.
That's good. That's good. And I like the one. So disrespected is the fruit of the branch of being let down.
No.
There we go.
Yeah, or humiliated.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
See, it's just
because it's double. No, you own it.
Oh, you know what? You're right. So disrespected. Oh, that's on a couple of different branches.
See, exactly. So see now you're able. So sometimes you hope that people would do something, and you as a man, you've been there for them. You've been that strong dude. When they need you, you show up every time. But then the one time you need them, they don't show up. You feel let down, but you feel what? Disrespected. But what is that disrespect? It's actually let down. But now you can trace that sometimes you feel like anger about that.
Yeah, so it's being able to drill down.
Yes.
There it is. It's being able to drill down. So you feel something. Okay, let's talk about me. I would be sort of withdrawn.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Withdrawn, annoyed, kind of skeptical. I could grab those, but I wouldn't necessarily know what that was or what emotion was tied to that. So when you go to the feelings wheel, you see that the withdrawn is a fruit from the branch of being distant.
Right.
Because so what I would do is I would want to get withdrawn, and I would want to get distant from the thing that made me angry. Let me tell you something. When Dr. Kohler said to me, "You're angry,"
right,
I didn't understand what he meant.
Right.
Because I always saw anger as, you going in, you loud, you brash, you breaking stuff, you got the angry countenance. No, bro. I had the fruit of anger.
Right.
So if you have the fruit of anger, then you got the root of anger.
Right.
Oh.
And being able to identify what is fruit and what is root allow you to experience a total transformation because you're now aware. You can label it.
And
go ahead.
Well, this is real quick, man, because the truth is you start with the fruit.
Right.
The tree is known.
Yes.
Not the tree is the fruit is known by the tree that it's attached to.
Yeah.
The tree is known. So when you become a fruit inspector, then you can say, oh, this is the kind of fruit that is on an angry tree. This is the kind of fruit that is on the disgusted tree.
Right.
And I'm saying tree, which is emotions. This is the kind of fruit that's on a sad tree.
Right.
And I'm saying the point that we're making with this, and I'm going to come back to you because I knew you were going somewhere. The point that we were making with this is what we said earlier. You got to be able to identify what it is that you're dealing with, because some emotions that we have the wrong label on it. So for the longest time, I thought that my issue was fear, and it was. But when I started looking at the fruit, bro, I realized it was more anger than it was fear. Oh, I got some stuff on the fear tree too, but that angry tree,
right,
I never put a lot of emphasis over there because I've always been diplomatic. I've always been cool. I've always been laid back. I always know what to say. And when I do get angry, I can snatch it back and pull it back together. And I think that anger is tucked away. But no, it was never tucked away. Guess why? Because when you look at the fruit, I'm being all, what is that? Infuriated.
Yep.
Quiet though with it.
Yep.
I'm annoyed.
Yep.
Numb. Yeah, I'm good. We straight. No, we good. Ain't nothing wrong. We straight.
Yeah.
Skeptical. I love you. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I don't hardly believe that. I ain't never been indignant, but feeling ridiculed.
Yeah.
Ridiculed. So I don't know why this is so present to me, bro. I know what it's like to feel like I did my best and I walked into an arena and somebody sunned me, or they acted like what I had wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I felt ridiculed, and I never even understood that was tied to the branch of humiliation. And that humiliation, see, I would never even use these words for myself, bro. And that humiliation is tied to the tree that is anger.
Yes.
Oh,
This is so powerful, and especially we're calling being your own man. Because a lot of times in life, our subconscious and our pain actually reacts for us.
our subconscious and our pain
It reacts
for us.
Example, and when I go to the point about being let down, a lot of times in my life, my hurt has been for me being privately let down.
Which one is let down? Where's let down?
Let down at the top on the top of anger.
Oh, that's anger too?
Yes. See, so in the essence of being disrespected or betrayed, from years, because one of the things about learning this feeling wheel is to not just realize that this is how I'm feeling in a moment, but also asking myself the question of when have I felt this way before? When are the previous times I felt let down? When are the previous times I feel betrayed? Because that now allows me to go and identify these experiences. And sometimes we end up realizing we got emotional storage sheds from previous encounters where all of this stuff is stored into that we haven't even processed those feelings.
Ooh.
And those emotions. And so that's one thing I love about the feeling wheel, about being able to identify this tree. When I can identify, you know what, this moment right now, I feel disrespected because I've been let down. Now I can connect to all these previous times in my life that this was disrespected because I've been let down. So now that I got this stored up amount of anger that hasn't been processed, now things make sense and I can now go back and deal with it.
Yeah.
I can now unpack it in a safe way.
Yeah.
I can realize, you know what, this has made me feel this kind of way because I realize, and now I'm angry. The Bible says, be angry, but sin not.
Yeah.
So now that I realize that I am angry, now I can actually process on the front end, now what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Because it's a dangerous thing to be angry and not plan out how you're going to respond because you're not even where you're angry.
Yeah. And what you said about that shed, can you imagine all of these unprocessed, unlabeled emotions that's in this shed that's everywhere? And quite frankly, it's like a whole pantry full of canned goods with none of the labels on them.
That, or it's a whole can of flammables that doesn't have the label on that. So you got kerosene, you got gasoline, you got alcohol, you got all of these items that all of a sudden the right kind of match.
Yeah.
And then this thing explodes. And I think this is powerful, especially as men. We don't often talk about how we feel. I mean, let's be honest with you. How many people really care about how we feel?
I mean, if you want to take it there, in the marketplace, unless you're talking about a man and his money and the things, his utility, what he can do for the community, what he can do for a woman, anything outside of our community, bro, nobody gives a damn about a man like that, bro.
And especially how he feels.
No, bro. They don't. They don't.
So therefore,
and especially a black man.
Oh, that's there.
They don't care. They don't care. And I don't mean to be brash about that. And I don't mean to be like pessimistic, but they don't. Okay, so honestly, like really, what does having a whole bunch of black men, how is that going to benefit like just the general market? They say, wow, you know what? We want a bunch of black men. Who says that? Some people do. Most don't. They would rather have black women. They would rather have women in general. They'd rather have white men. But black men, we are painted as dangerous. We're painted as, absentee. And when we were trying to grow up and we were trying to get our stuff together, we are also painted by the wounds that we caused as we were becoming.
Yeah.
And it becomes very difficult for us to now have to become who we are supposed to become. But now we also got to outlive the label that rightfully so was put on us because our actions were very immature. We didn't know. But then when we finally became and we wanted to become, we were much older by that time. So like, what we want? The prison industrial complex loves us. The clubs with the bottles, they love us. You know why? Because we absolutely have to stunt. We got to front because nobody lines up and says, you know what? I want a black man that doesn't have it, doesn't know it, and ain't it.
Yeah.
So we have to do all of the things that make us stand out to make you say, look at me. And sadly, here we go. Sadly, bro, we bring that into our relationships.
We
start performing. We say performing for the attaboy, but let's be real. Let's be real. Bro, we performing for love and acceptance. We're performing for you to see us. And oftentimes, we don't understand that when we are not whole, because it's not our spouse's job to heal us.
Right.
Let me say that again. It's not our spouse's job to heal us. Now, it can be their responsibility to create an atmosphere where it is easier for us to heal, but it's not their job to heal us. But when we come to the table already healed, bro, we make all the difference.
And this is why I think this is powerful, because a lot of times we don't even know where we're bleeding.
We don't where we're bleeding or that we're bleeding.
We don't know that we're bleeding. We don't even know where we're bleeding. And we don't even recognize how long we have been bleeding. And I think that's what's the power of processing how we feel. It is transformative. I never forget, man. And it makes so much sense now. This was over 10 years ago. I think I told you about this. I went to this retreat for men up in D.C. Every Man's Battle.
Right. Gotcha.
I was there. It was 200, 300 men in the room, and we broke out in small groups. But for 2 days, we were there for a whole week. But for 2 days of being there, I never forget, the guy who was the facilitator would ask the question, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
You know, that's crazy, right?
And I remember it like yesterday. Guys who were in the room all had different struggles from whatever. They had a hard time processing how they feel.
Because how many people ask us that and wait for an answer and expect us to answer that question? How you feel? Because if it's not, yeah, I'm good. Who cares, bro?
Exactly. But in doing this work of growing and maturing, I'm learning, even as we're talking about this now, to not only ask myself this question, not daily, but it's getting to a point of hourly. Because self-awareness is one of your greatest tools. Give you an example. If you don't know how you feel as an athlete, you can go out and play hurt.
100%.
And playing hurt to win the game can actually do more damage over the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you play hurt depending on what the game is.
You ever seen those athletes and their hand be like that? Their hand be like that. They be like, yeah, you see, how you doing? Their hand like that. It's because they actually broke it. But to fix it means you got to be out of the game long enough for it to heal. And they was like, nah, just get me straight enough so I can play again. And so now for the rest of their life, they got a finger that's like that. And I'm saying the challenge for us, to your point, the challenge of us a lot of times is we don't take ourselves out of the game long enough because our value many times is tied, our own internal value, many times is tied to what other people say about us.
Right.
But you said something very important. Well, you didn't say something very important, and I wanted to answer for this one. When I said, who cares? I really want to answer for that. Because I think once we find out who cares or who should care, that's going to make all the difference in the world.
But that's a great point, because...
You know where I'm going, right?
Yeah. I don't think anyone is ever going to care above the level that you care for yourself. You teach people how to treat you, and your baseline for treating you is always going to be the level that the water rises to. I'm not saying that someone won't cut you short. I'm not saying people won't try. But when you start being aware, why should anybody else be aware of the emotions that you haven't even taken the time to be aware of?
What'd you call it? Intimacy?
Yes. I call this feeling wheel allows a level of self-intimacy, because it allows you to see inside of yourself. What's going on in me?
Into me see.
Yeah, into me see. Not just an intimacy, not you got relationship, you got brotherhood, you got all kind of stuff.
Or touching on yourself.
Exactly. No, this is
at the midnight hour.
Exactly.
Not that.
Not okay. Lotion and Vaseline. This is you saying, you know what? What's going on in me right now? You know what? I'm confused. Why am I feeling confused?
We're gonna come back to that. We definitely gonna come back to that. But how hard is it for you to even embrace, or for guys? I wonder for you, how hard is it for you to know or to say to yourself, "I'm intimate with me"? Yeah. I mean, we could take jokes about it and pause, all that. But like, I'm intimate with me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm present with myself.
Yeah.
I see me.
Mm-hmm.
I take the time to understand self-awareness. What's going on? Something is happening. What is that? Let me process it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm feeling withdrawn.
Yeah.
Well, what is that tied to? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I'm not just withdrawn. I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that is the kind of intimacy that is required, and it ain't necessarily got to be loud. You be like, I'm looking at myself, and I'm being. No, it's about being able to say, there's something going on with me, and I care enough. I care enough to fix it, to at least address it, to at least label it.
But see, before you can fix it, before you can address it, before you can even label it, you got to be willing to see it. You got to be willing to look at it. You got to be willing to ask and say, you know what is this? I feel off. What is it?
Yo, it ain't nothing, man. It's cool. We straight.
No, it is something. What is it? I don't feel myself.
I ain't got it, man. Well, what I'm gonna complain about it for anyway, bro? Ain't nothing gonna change.
Man, it's amazing because I'm looking back down at this one, and this one when the feeling wheel got big for me. When I started feeling lonely and isolated, I realized there was a level of sadness.
Okay, all right. So let's pull it back up. So let's take me through it.
So I started wanting to isolate, wanting to be by myself. That's a loneliness, which was sadness, right?
Yes.
So I started saying, you know what? Feel like being bothered. I just want some time to myself. Start feeling that. But I asked myself the question, why am I wanting to desire isolated? Why am I feeling lonely? Watch this. Why am I sad? The next day I realized it was grief.
Grief. Ooh.
When I realized it was grief, bro, it blessed me. I took out my journal and asked myself, why am I grieving? And I started writing down different things that I wasn't even aware that I'm actually grieving. Being able to say, you know what? I'm grieving this. I'm grieving that. I'm grieving this. Bro, it changed so much of the life because I was able to actually realize I'm grieving. So instead of me trying to act and move and do and feel better, knowing, you know what? I'm grieving this. And some of it was a potential grief. It was a, hey, in your past, you've sacrificed yourself and you've done like this and it looked like this and you're gonna do it again. Versus identifying it and being able to write it out and now have conversations about it. So we talked about intimacy. I was able to look in and I'm starting to recognize I got these conflicts with myself. And if I got these conflicts with myself, I'm sure gonna have these conflicts with others.
Man, that's so we say anger and we identify with anger a lot because it has a sort of bravado to it. But the idea of being identified with being sad, man, I don't think I've ever even uttered those words like, man, I'm sad. Because look at this, look at this.
I'm hurt.
Bro, look at this. Sad. So to feel abandoned, to feel victimized, to feel vulnerable, to feel powerless.
You asked me something before the show started. We was on air. I want to talk about exactly what it was, but you know what I felt? And that it was definitely hurt and it's definitely disappointed. So in my effort to not feel disappointed and being hurt, that's caused me to be what? Isolated with certain information and certain topics. I now am processing. You're now being able to say, you know what, this is that. Being able to put that label on it.
But I love the fact, bro, that you have people in your life that can see you in ways that you don't see you.
Right.
Like you don't know that your body is tightening up in a way and your facial expression is a certain kind of way. But I'm gonna say, hey, why are you tight about that?
Right.
No, I ain't got no. That was the first thing. No, I ain't got no. I ain't got no. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, why you say that? I'm looking at you. And you sat there and thought about it. And the answer you gave back, I knew it was the right answer. You took some real introspection and you figured it out.
Because one of the most dangerous things is to let life reveal what you won't look at.
Okay. So you healed, you put me on the path to healing a 2-decade-old wound just with one conversation.
Oh, wow.
See, that's the power of being able to be in close proximity and having community. And I was thinking that it could be fixed one way, and you with absolute certainty said it was impossible. Made me feel even worse. But then you came with a solution. That's a God issue, bro. That's a God issue. And I sat there and thought about it. I said my feelings a little bit. I was a little tight too. So I'm like, how you just frivolously saying that? But more I thought about it, I said, this dude is absolutely right. Then I talked to Dr. Cola. And Dr. Cola was like, absolutely, this is what it is. So I'm saying, just a real quick pivot, that community is so important because you need to be around people long enough for them to see you. I was talking to one of my boys the other day. I said, hey, man, if I don't know what you look like, if I don't know what you look like in your pissed off days, in your best days, on your worst days, and I'm calling you my close friend, I probably need to stop. Because we're not just cool just when it's all good, because if it's all good, then I know everything ain't all good all the time. And you don't hide that from me. You share that with me.
It's called
knowing that you're not going to be judged.
Naked and not ashamed.
Yeah.
You know, you see people say this all the time, like if you got 3 good friends in life, you're blessed.
Tremendously
What
blessed.
I'm learning is if you got 3 good people that you can process your raw emotions and say, you know what, this is honestly how I'm feeling, that's a game changer.
Yeah, man.
Because until we as men can really be honest about how we feel. So I was at an event, sitting out around the fire pit. Another guy on a phone call with some guys in his profession. And this guy says something. He says, man, I got some twins. I don't even know if they mine.
He said that to you?
No, he's talking. I'm just outside just chilling.
Yeah.
Another dude is on the phone with some folks, and I hear another guy tell the guys that they're on the phone with, I got 2 twins, and I don't know if they mine. I sit back in my chair, and I immediately go, he just said something, but no one even knows how he truly feels. And how many times I was proud of the guy for actually saying it, but what kind of level of pain and thoughts and emotions that guys go through, number one, they ain't gonna say it. But number 2, have you even dealt with how you really feel about this? Because knowing how you actually feel about it is the game changer. It's not necessarily so much what happened. How you feel about it can actually be the imprisonment.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So the reason why, that's a whole another podcast, that whole experience that you had, that's a whole different podcast.
Because I felt some way just hearing it, man.
Yeah,
I sat back in my seat, looked at the person next to me, and we were like, hey, I felt anger, humiliated, just like, I'm like, what you mean you don't know they're yours? I mean, you know, come on, like, 23 and me, cotton swab, you know, you better get that why that baby got Similac on him. I felt some kind of way as a man just hearing that, and I can't tell you that person's name. If somebody offered me $5 million, I don't know.
Would you have jumped into the conversation?
Not so sure. Only for the principle of never comb somebody a hair who hadn't asked you to pick up a comb.
Well, you're right. That part. If you're gonna start combing hair, then well, come on, man, just keep it to yourself. But I'm saying sometimes, wow, man, that sounds awful. How you feel about that? Hell, you mean how I feel about that, bro? Yeah, wow. So what you thinking? What you gonna do?
Because in essence, and this is the illustration that came to me, is that oftentimes our feelings have terminals to them.
Uh-huh.
And if we don't address how we feel, life can hook up to them.
In the right order, in the right way.
And bam, it powers something sparks off, and you jump in other feelings, you jump in other emotions, because you hadn't learned to disconnect the battery terminals to these areas, man.
Oh, man, not even just disconnecting. Sometimes you do have to disconnect, but then other times you got to understand when you're jumping a battery in real life, it's positive to negative and negative to positive. You know what that means? That means when you have a polarity that is way, I got to match where you at. Right. You understand what I'm saying? I got to bring something that when you way high, I'm going to bring something to bring you down. And when you, too low, I'm going to bring you up. And that's the power of having a conversation. But a lot of times, honestly, that is in community. So you may not have been able to, but you know me, man, empathy is my thing. So I'm going to read you on the spot.
How many brothers have lifelong implications and consequences, not because of what they did, but more importantly, because they hadn't processed how they feel before?
Wow. And that's what this feeling wheel does, man. This feeling wheel will absolutely help you. And we'll make, we'll maybe put it in the comment section for you so you can have, if not this wheel, then something like it.
I mean, you can Google if you know, but we're going to provide one for you.
Yeah.
But
as we close here, man, one of the main things that I want to make sure that we're clear on is that the power of labeling is important. Because when you can label it, when you can put a name on it, then you can own it. Why should you own it? Because ownership is happening one way or the other. Either it's owning you or you're owning it. You name it, now you're in more of a position to be able to have authority, dominion, and you can give it another label. You can give it another name. What was meant for my evil,
God turned that thing around for good.
Turned it for my good.
As you were talking, man, the pastor preacher done hit me hard. The number one assignment that God gave Adam in the garden was to name everything on earth.
Facts.
Even though God created it, he let Adam name it. Why? Because that's the dominion.
Okay.
And as a man in your authority,
live there,
created in the image and likeness of God to be fruitful and to multiply, things that are in your life, God allows you to name it.
Hey, man, what is going awry in your life right now that's running amok not because it's just bad, you just ain't labeled it.
Exactly.
You ain't named it.
Exactly.
You ain't reeled it in. You haven't chosen what you're going to call this.
Yep.
Okay, give an example.
I mean, I'm going to go biblical, then I'm going to go natural. Joseph has been betrayed by his brothers. They threw him in the pit. He's went through being lied on by Potiphar's wife, who was just wilding out. He's been in prison. He's now in authority. His brothers come to him, and he knows it's his brothers, but he has changed that he doesn't look like where he came from. However, when his brothers are revealed that it's him, they become fearful. But he says, what was meant for evil, God has made it for my good.
Yeah.
Same situation. Joseph now says, I've relabeled this. I've renamed this. I've processed how I feel about this. So while you are still sad about this and you are still upset and hurt about this, I now realize that this is some happiness because I've learned how to accept what happened. And even though it was painful, God used all of that stuff to flip around. And that's the power of it. You have some people in life. You got children. Some born, same family, same situations. One becomes extremely successful. Another one can become extremely
unsuccessful.
Struggle.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the issue is not what happened. It's how you labeled it.
Ooh, that's good.
It's how you talked about, you know what? I felt this way.
Yeah.
You show me a person that can tell me this is how I feel about it, regardless of what it is. I'll show you a person that God has given a 4-wheel drive that can get him out of any rut that they're in.
Man, I in prayer this morning, my nephew was somebody just senselessly and violently took his life.
Man, my heart is out for you and your entire family.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody that's really showed up. But this morning, I go back and forth with my anger. Like, he ain't supposed to be gone, God. He's supposed to be here. 21 years old. That's not supposed to happen. And I'm gonna tell you something, bro. This is real talk. The way God so eloquently checked me, even in my anger, he was loving, but he was clear. In essence, he told me to stay in creation's place. You're not the creator. I'm the creator. Got a plan for this. And then he took me to a point in my mind, in my meditation this morning, when I lost my mind. I could not literally find the four corners of my sanity, trying to get in God's place and learn what he wasn't willing to tell me. Lost my mind. And sometimes I have nightmares thinking about that moment. And so the thing that stood out to me was what I understood during that point was that there are some things that God knows and he understands that our mere mortal minds could never fathom. Bro, you could never get. God is playing, he ain't even playing chess. Whatever the game is, there's 12 levels above chess. He knows the end from the beginning. He knows how, if you just get up 1 second earlier, how that's going to impact the rest of a week for somebody. God knows he put all this stuff together. So what I'm saying to you is God, what he blessed me with was that you're angry because you don't have enough proximity to me on such a regular basis to know that it's okay to be angry, but that anger does not lead to righteousness. Okay? So anger resides, okay, here we go. It resides in the bosom of a fool. So what I had to do in these moments, I can't just do my regular, just get with him and just kick it with him, talk to him. I had to spend more time with him because you know what? That anger and that peace that I get from being with him, I'm not going to lie to you. It has a limit. It runs out. And until it stops running out, I got to get before him. And so when I'm with him and in his presence, man, he says something, he calms my heart in a way to know that he got this thing. He got everything under control. And yes, I'm going to walk away. And yes, I'm going to still get pissed. But all I got to do is get back with him, because when you're with God, when you're in his presence and when you're close to him, he has a soothing balm for your heart and your mind that nothing else will give you, bro.
As you were explaining this, you were literally giving an example of how Psalms work. Psalms is nothing but a collection of people that experience God by talking through their emotions.
Yeah.
Talking through their feelings.
That's good, bro.
And we have a God that loves us enough that he gave us these emotions. He gave us these feelings.
Yeah.
And while it doesn't make sense, we get an opportunity to go back to him and tell him how we really feel.
100%, bro.
And David, who's written quite a bit of the Psalms, not a man of a perfect life, but he's categorized as a man after God's own heart, categorically, because he can tell God, this is how I feel. Right now, God, I feel lovely. You know, oh, bless the Lord, oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Paraphrasing this moment, Lord, I want you to kill him. I want you to run down there, paraphrasing in today's time, pull out my shank, and I'm going to go in here and light the whole house up. You know, they that run after me, God, he's honest with how he feels.
Yeah.
And that's the power of these moments, man.
And I love the fact that you said that, bro, because when you are honest with God and you talk to him and you tell him exactly how you feel, man, there's something about getting that off of your heart and that balm that God gives you and give me your burdens and I'll give you something, man, that's going to make you a whole lot better.
Cast all your cares upon me.
Yeah.
Your care is how you feel.
Yeah.
And I will give you rest. So one of the greatest things about being able to say, you know what, this is how I feel, you can actually give it to God. You know what, God, this is how I feel. Here go the glass. But if you're not able to say, this is how I feel, how can you give some away that you can't even identify?
And in essence, man, I got to be honest and say, I think it turned this morning for me when I started wagging the finger at God, telling him what should have happened. And I'm like, well, God don't really move like that. But yes, he does. Remember when Job had everything taken from him, his kids, his stuff, his wife telling him curse God and die, and his health, he got boils on his body, he's taking, pots and scraping himself. And when he finally talked to God, God was like, yo, Job, where was you when I was framing the world, bro? So you know what's happening, right? Where was you at when I was doing all of this? Sometimes God knows how to, based on your relationship with him, he knows how to lovingly put you in check.
Yeah.
And I was put in check today. He was like, get in creation's lane. You over here in the creator's lane. Get in creation's lane. I got this thing. I know what I'm doing. And if you trust me, I'm going to make it make sense.
Yeah.
I pray for those of you, man, that are going through things that you don't understand, bro, and you're in places where you just don't get why things laid the way they laid. Mm-hmm. But I am going to tell you this, that everything you need to win is inside you.
Absolutely.
You got the seeds of greatness in you.
100%.
And what we want to do with this show is be able to bring that out. And this is today. We won't talk about all the other seeds. We're going to talk about God gave you your emotions. And he gave you your emotions not as a master. Like, not that you get mad and your anger tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. But it is your emotions to kind of be your servant, to let you know, hey, this is how I feel. And when you go to God, you tell him, this is where it is. This is where I am.
I used to say this statement all the time, that emotions are the dashboard of your life.
That's right. You say that.
And oftentimes, we as men, we would fuss at our family, we would fuss at our friends or brother if they driving around with a check engine light on. All of these lights on the dashboard just lit up. And that's how some of us riding right now. You wouldn't let your car do that. Or some of you, because of life circumstances, you like, well, I know what that is, and you just ignoring it. But this is an opportunity for us to say, you know what? Let's pull over. Let's check under the hood. And I guarantee you that God won't stick you with the bill. He's already taken care of it. By his stripes, you're healed. He already did the work on the cross. You have an opportunity to say, you know what, God, my check engine light is on. God, you know what? My temperature is running hot. I don't know why. It could be as simple as a thermostat, could be a water pump, it could be a radiator, regardless of what it is on the filling wheel. God has it covered.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity as we work on ourselves, because we have a distance to go that you can't do it without being aware of your feelings.
Hey, like, share, comment, and I really am interested in, brothers, you identifying some of the feelings that you have, because we act like we don't have them.
Yeah.
But you have them. You have them. So let's identify some of the feelings that we have. I'm not saying to crawl in the comment section and talk about, I'll be sad. No, if you want to, you can. But I want you to identify it. For nobody but yourself, because quite frankly, that's the most important person that you need to do this for. Intimacy, intimate. Make sure you know that you got emotions and that you label them properly and handle them with care. All right? If this makes some sense to you, if it bless you, let us know in the comment section. Make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Love you, family. Man up.